Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. In this tutorial we are going to be making this gorgeous floral tumbler. Honestly, in the beginning I had no clue what I was going to do with this. All I knew is I had this beautiful Boudreaux plum purple color from Krylon and I wanted to put it on something. So I painted this tumbler, which is a 12-ounce morning mug from the steel Magnolia, and it sat in my room for like the longest time before I remembered that I had these floral rub-on transfers from Southern Belle Glitter and also Levitate from PDB Creative Studios as my glitter. Levitate has every single color in it that is on this transfer. And since we have used glitter glue for application in the last couple of tutorials, we're going to do the epoxy method just to mix it up a little bit. I'm using about a milliliter of epoxy on this morning mug, which is actually just a little bit more than what I would normally use on here. But I want it to be just a tad bit thicker than I normally do for any of my fine or fine XLs, since this is a Chucky and I want it to lay super flat so that we minimize the amount of coats that I have to do in between the glitter and our rub-on transfers. And for this particular design, I'm avoiding the handle and the bottom of the tumbler. I really don't like putting chunky glitter on handles. It's really hard to get a nice smooth coverage on there. If you wanted to glitter the handle, you could go in with a fine glitter. And I also avoided the bottom. We don't need epoxy on the bottom because our glitter is going to waterfall from the top. I am holding my tumbler horizontally so I can get really thick coverage right there around the top rim, and then I will tilt it down towards the table and lightly sprinkle on the glitter so it just falls naturally towards the bottom of the cup. I love the paint color so much I did not want to cover it up all the way. The floral pattern that I had planned to use is pretty busy, so I wanted to have, a little bit of contrast, not so much glitter that it's busy as well, but for this to be sort of a backdrop for the floral design. Once I finished applying my glitter, normally I would roll this in parchment paper or a sheet of notebook paper as you have seen me do before. But in this instance, since there is a handle and we didn't glitter the whole cup, I'm taking a piece of tissue paper. You can also use parchment paper or a gloved hand and just dabbing down all of the chunky glitter that is sticking up. I allowed that to dry for about 4 to 6 hours, sprayed with Rust-Oleum matte clear coat, and then I applied 2 coats of a little extra ink epoxy with sanding in between those so I have a very nice smooth finish for my rub-on transfers. I know that we have used these in the last few tutorials. They are just so easy to work with. This is from the Spring Gardens collection. You get quite a bit in each pack, as you saw me pull the sheets out before I grabbed this one. If you are a very brave soul, you can attempt to wrap the entire thing at once, but I don't trust myself with that, so we're gonna trim this. And the good thing is you can trim around the flowers, just the borders of the design, and you will never be able to tell that I put this on in sections. I'm going to get rid of all the excess so we are able to line this up perfectly with the rim. I'm leaving just a tiny bit of that stainless that I sanded down, so if I do sand in between my final coats, I'm not taking away from any of the design at the top. Now, since this is not a seamless design, I'm going to trim around this flower to make it look as natural as possible before I attach that to my cup. So instead of having that blunt edge, I just trimmed around it to make it look like a petal and took that leaf off of the bottom so it wouldn't interfere with our bottom portion of our handle. I place this down, making sure that I have it really nice and flat in all areas. It's best to work from one side to the other, sort of like the hinge method, keep your fingers or your gloves away from the back of the transfers. They are sticky and they will stick to your hands. I rubbed them into place with my fingers first, and then I took the little wooden tool that comes with them and just scraped that down to make sure that they are adhered to the cup as best as possible. Remove the transfer paper that is on top really slowly, just in case there is any little pieces that you missed. You can just push that back down and put those into place. Now, I did have a couple of pieces that come up with my design and I wasn't able to rub them down. That was most likely user error because I have not had that happen before with these. But with the chunky glitter in the background, it just looks like it's part of the design and you can't tell at all. I'm going to do those same steps with this second piece and just line it up perfectly where we trimmed it. I'm going to skip through this one just a little bit because we're also going to do that last piece, and I'll show you how I worked it around the handle. Before I take this one off, I want to line it up and see where that edge is going to meet with my handle. And then I'm going to trim off those extra leaves on the bottom that are sort of bluntly cut off, and trim the flower in the same way that I did the first side. This one is lining up just a little different, so after I cut the soft edge on the flower, I'm going to cut a little slit in there so that when I do get to the handle, I can sort of work that around the handle and down onto the cup around it. Now, these normally do not require any sealing. However, when applying these, I feel like you handle your tumblers, or at least I do, a lot more than just applying a decal, since you have to put some effort in there to rub them on. So I did spray seal this with Rust-Oleum matte clear coat and added 2 layers of a little extra ink epoxy. I actually was not going to put a decal on this, which is why I did 2 layers of epoxy. I really do not like having thick cups and unnecessary layers of epoxy, so I heavily sanded this before the next step so I could knock a little bit of that down. I made this SVG myself, and it will be available for free in the Brittany Barnes Boutique Tumbler group. The majority of people are right-handed, so I usually try to put my decal as if someone was holding it with their right hand. The decal would be facing out for anyone else to see. Of course, that is only for my ready-to-ship tumblers. If this was a custom order, I would ask my customer their personal preference. After my decal, I added 2 final layers of a little extra ink epoxy to give it a stunning shine. Oh my gosh, I love a little extra ink epoxy. If you have not tried it, they have free samples available if you go to aoleshine.com. And look at how perfect Levitate from PDB Creative Studios matches the colors in the floral design. I seriously could not be happier with the way that this turned out. I hope the person that receives this tumbler is reminded every single morning when she is having her coffee that she is strong, beautiful, fierce, and brave, and ready to tackle her day. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and join our Facebook page. We have lots of fun in there and giveaways. All of the items that I used in this tutorial will be down in the description below, along with some coupon codes to save you some money. Don't forget to like if you love this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the little bell in the corner to be notified anytime a new tutorial drops. Thank you all so much, and we will see you next time.